This way. This way, buddy. Okay, clipped up. We got our poop bags. We are recording. Okay. This way. Hey everyone, it's Anthony, back with another video here on Single and Placing. Hi. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Weekday, weekend, week, month, evening, morning, overnight, all of the things that are good. We're here on a little vlog, hike, walkabout, as we normally are. But we are up at Lookout Mountain. We're at the Bottcher Mansion. It is a historical site here in the Golden area, and it's been quite some time since I've moseyed on up here with you all. I don't even think I've been up here since I've had my action camera. Maybe. I don't remember. But we are here, and it's so close to the house. It's about 5-10 minutes closer. Maybe closer to that. Maybe closer to 10 minutes. Closer. A lot of closers to me than either of the dog parks that we go to. So I figured we'd just bop up here instead, do something a little close. Apollo has to stay on leash the whole time. It's an on-leash situation, but that's okay. We were just trying to get some exercise, get out of the house. It is Tuesday at the time of filming this. So there's the mansion in front of us. They do a lot of weddings and special events here. It's kind of cute. But if we sneak off the path or out of the parking lot, there's a little secret path up here. Let's see. Yes. Dogs must be leashed, hikers only, so no cyclist, which is nice. Let's go. So yeah, I figured we'd just come up here, do a little walkabout. I don't think it's very long, but it is nice. It's usually pretty quiet up here because mostly we have mountain bikers up here. You don't need that grass, come on. Mostly mountain bikers, so it should be relatively quiet. Good opportunity for us to get some chatting in. So yeah, if you're a connoisseur of the vlogs, you'll have to let me know when the last time is that we came up here. Come on, let's go. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. As always, leave in the comments how things are going. I'm gonna try to get caught up even more on comments today. I got some done, gosh, was that Sunday night? I don't remember. A couple days ago, I cranked through as many comments as I could. I still have a ton, still getting caught up, so be patient with me. I used to do them every Thursday at Scott's hockey games, but he hasn't been going to hockey recently. And so for whatever reason, it just hasn't been happening because I don't have my dedicated time. I should still set aside Thursday nights to do it, but I always end up doing something else. But anyway, so there's like some picnic areas and there's part of the mansion up there. Let's see. Let's turn on our walk. Yes, I know. It's like, you left your keys in your car. I'm like, well, I brought my car key. It's like just the loose key, but I left everything else in the car and locked it up. So yeah, this is Lookout Mountain Trail, Bottcher Mansion Trail. There's all sorts of little dips and dives and twists and turns. But we're gonna follow this around till we get to, there's like a little meadow. So we'll just kind of follow this around till we get there. Come on, buddy. Lots of cyclists, as you can see, whipping around. It's a very popular mountain biking area up here. They huff and they puff all their way up here, and then it's like a nice coast down. Some of my friends will even carpool, so somebody will drive everybody up to the top with all their bikes, and then they just do the coasting down part, because I guess that's the fun part. But yeah, I just like to come up here once in a while because it's close. It gives me plenty of woodsy vibes without having to go too far. And it's just generally a really easy, comfortable stroll and get a couple miles in. This way, this way. So I think this is Forest Loop. I think that's what we want to follow. We want to go this way. Yes. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing okay. Life stuff for me has been so-so. So-so. I feel like everyone's had a rough, like, couple of weeks or week. I think generally it's fine. Generally it's fine. But, you know, stuff comes up that's just like, oh, geez. So yeah, last time I filmed, I think was the day before my family reunion stuff started. I think a day or two before. So we are now Tuesday after the family reunion. So I guess we'll just kind of go back to that on Friday. On Friday, what happened Friday? Was our first day of the family reunion. And so that didn't start till 4 p.m. Oh, we've got some folks, hold on. So Friday was our first day of the family reunion. It started at 4, and I wasn't required to set up, even though I got there around 2:30 and did set up. But 4 o'clock is when it started. It was at the park in our hometown. So they had like a DJ, and they did chili dogs and chips and little potlucky kind of stuff, just little snacky things. And that was also where we did a couple of little family games and stuff, just some dancing and general good times. We went from like 4 to 8:30. So we did that. But prior to that, I had talked to my cousin and her son, and she was like, oh, let's do something beforehand since we don't have to be there until the afternoon. And I was like, okay, cool. So we actually met up in Golden in town and just went on a little hike with Apollo up and down the creek, and just were able to chit chat and catch up a little bit, go kind of near the water and walk around the creek, which was really nice. And then after that, we kind of did a loop up and down the creek, and at the one end of the creek closer to town, there's a park. And so we stopped at the park and we were just chit-chatting, you know, catching up, and she had her son with her. I think he's around 10 or 11, and you could tell he was just bored. He's just like sitting at the park bench with us, with, you know, hands underneath his chin, just like la la la. These old fogies are just gossiping and chit-chatting. And so I was like, well, what is around here that might be fun for him that, you know, doesn't cost an arm and a leg, or, you know, we don't have to we're not going to go tubing before we are supposed to go to this family event. I don't even think they had their swim trunks. So I was thinking of what might be cool, and he mentioned that he's like getting really into cars, like Hot Wheels and stuff. I was like, oh, there's a museum about 15 minutes from here called the Clive Cussler Museum, and he's an author that wrote adventure novels for years and years. He passed away fairly recently, but yeah, he wrote a ton of novels, and I got really into them for a little while, and I found out that he had a house here in Colorado and actually had started a museum, because in all of his books, he'll mention a classic car that the main character drives. In that book, it's always like a different classic car. And so as he got more popular and had money, he started collecting the cars from his books. And so it's a museum of all of his cars, with like the books on a stand in front of them so you can see which book it's from. And then some other cars that weren't from any books but were just part of his collection. I'd say it's probably about 60, 70 classic cars from all the way from like the 20s through the 80s, essentially. A couple of them from the 80s, not a lot of modern cars, mostly like 40s, 50s, that kind of era. And so I was like, well, let's go do that. I remember it being cheap. And it was like $10 to get in, like $6 for kids. And you just walk around. It's like a 2-room warehouse with all the cars parked, and you can't get in any of them, obviously, but you can look at them. And so I was like, let's go do that. And Alex seemed really excited, like, ooh, something to do, you know? And so I was like, let me take Apollo home, and I will drop him off, meet you there, and then we can go to the event. So took Apollo home. As I'm driving home, I'm like, I have these 2 big old Tupperware Rubbermaid bins filled with Hot Wheels cars that have never been opened, because I used to collect them as a child, that I still have. And so I was like, let me see if I can fuss around in the garage and find them. So lo and behold, I did find one of them. And it was so funny because it's been so long since I've opened them. And I might have mentioned my plan. No, I don't think I mentioned my plan was to give those to him, because I didn't know he was that into cars. Or Hot Wheels cars. So I go to and find one, and it still says like Easter 2004, Kids Toys 2006, from like when we moved, when I was in high school. And that when we moved, my mom was labeling all the tubs, so it still had her writing on it, which I thought was so funny. I was like, wow, these have been in here for like, 20 years almost. So that was kind of cool. And so I opened it up and I was like, okay, they're all still in their boxes, looking good. So I brought it with us to the museum. We walked around and I was like, which ones were your favorite cars, Alex? So he's like picking out some of his favorites. And then we got done with the museum, got back to the car. I was like, I have a surprise for you. I have all these cars, and take as many as your mom lets you to fit in the carry-on. And she's like, well, pick 10. So he opens up, he's like, oh, cool. Like, he picked out a couple classic cars, a bunch of these NASCAR ones. And I wasn't even into NASCAR as a kid, but I would always get NASCAR Hot Wheels and stuff as like birthday and Christmas gifts. So they just went into the collection. Oh, did you find a stick? Apollo. Oh, you're gonna drop it? That wasn't a good one? Oh, I guess it was. He's such a cutie. So he was super jazzed. Her son, Alex is his name, was like so excited. Got to pick out a bunch of cars. He was like very timidly sifting through them. I'm like, just pull them out, like rip them out of there and set them aside, like really get in there. He's like, okay, because at first he was just kind of like gently removing them. I was like, you got to dig to the bottom of that pile, bro. So he picked some out, and it was kind of cool to see some of the old cars, because I haven't fussed with that in a long time to like actually see what's in there. So there's like so many cars that I remember getting in elementary school. A couple of them on the back had these stickers that I remember really liking when I was in like 1st or 2nd grade. I had these like stickers that were shoes, like sneakers, like Converse, but they had faces on them, like anthropomorphic shoes, I think is what the proper term is. And I remember loving sticking those like on my notebooks and like pencil cases and stuff. So a few of the Hot Wheels cars had a sticker on the back. I was like, oh, that's from like 96, 96, 97. It's like, this is so cool. And so there was also a card. One of them was it's called the T-Rex Racer, and it was from, I had to send in box tops from Kraft Macaroni and Cheese. And if you sent in enough box tops, they'd send you back a Hot Wheels car. And so I have one of those, and it has a little Pog in it. I think it's like C-Rex Racer or something. It has like a Pog in the cardboard. I have some from McDonald's that are still in their little plastic sealed bags from Happy Meals. There was some in there that came with the Hot Wheels game, and you could play the game with the car that you bought, virtually. And so each one of them had a CD-ROM. So there's like CD-ROMs in there, and I was like, this is like so 90s. So that was kind of fun. We had a blast kind of picking through those. And then afterwards, they were hungry, and I was like, oh, there's a food hall not too far from here. So we went there. I had only ever picked up takeout from there, but it was kind of cool. They had hot chicken, like Nashville hot chicken stand, pizza, sushi, kind of healthy protein bowls, Italian ice, a little kind of Mexican place, and then what else? Like one other one. And then like a full bar. But we ended up just getting the Nashville chicken, and I just got some water to drink because I was pretty thirsty. So we did that, had some lunch, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna run and let Apollo out to pee one more time. We have time, and then I'll just meet you in Platteville. So went back, let Apollo out to pee, and then hit the road and went up to the event. So it was a lot of fun. There was a ton of cousins, aunts, uncles, anyone that you can think of there. They did like a contest to see, because it was 3 families that are all intertwined. So the Bejarano family, the Velasquez family, and then the Carrillo family. And so I'm a Velasquez on my mom's side. And so, let's go. So we were the largest of the groups. But between the 3 families, like I said, there's about, at the park, I think there's only maybe 150 people or so, but then at the main event, there was closer to 400. But they had like a contest of who's been married the longest, and it tied. There was a Bejarano couple, and then my Uncle Bob and Aunt Gloria, which is my grandma's brother, and his wife. Bob and Gloria, they've been together for 63 years. So they tied, and then they had like a little dance and a little hula contest. The theme was Hawaiian, so I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt and I had a lei. So that was the theme. So yeah, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I didn't stay the entire time because I wanted to get back to the boy. But we had a blast, and then I went straight home, grabbed Apollo, because as I was driving home, my buddies wrote me and they're like, oh, we're having a fire, so come on over if you're feeling like, if you have the energy for it. And at first I was like, I just want to sleep, but I wanted Apollo to get out so he could run around the yard and stuff with my buddy's husky Maverick. So I went straight home, got right in the car, right back in the car with Apollo, went over there. We just hung out a little bit, had a couple beers and just chit-chatted. And then I came home and went straight to bed. I was pretty exhausted, but that was Friday. And then Saturday, I was part of the setup crew, so I had to be there early. So I took Apollo for an early walk, and then went straight over to the community center, where it was being held. And at first I was like, okay, I'll just be setting up, and then I can go and enjoy the event and see family and chit chat and relax. No. And it's partially my fault. I could have completely walked away and just not helped out. And I don't think anyone would have any, boo to say about it. But my mom was definitely like overstressed, overworked. Yeah, I can tell in her face. And she just has this like determined look, and like she's just walking very forcefully and very like matter-of-factly. And like everyone has questions for her. We're running around to grab this and that, and where does this go, and who's got the this, and how many of these do we need, and XYZ. So we're all just kind of running around, and I could tell that she was getting frustrated with like my other aunts and uncles, because they're getting frustrated of like, we want to just be done so we can just go sit and drink or whatever. I have one uncle who isn't like that. He's in work mode, as am I, when it's time. But I could tell that like my other aunts were like not into it. My one uncle from out of state, he just didn't care. He was just doing his own thing, like not helping, which is fine. Like, he's not my favorite uncle. But and it's not you, Uncle Apple, if you ever listen to this, it's not you. And it's not you, Uncle Louie. It's the other one. So yeah, he's just kind of ugh. But, ooh, a hummingbird. How pretty. There's lots of birds around here, wow. All kinds of birds. How cute. There's like little sparrow-looking birds and little hummingbirds flying around. That's awesome. So yeah, so I just kind of, got into work mode, and my mom's stressed, and I can tell that she's like not taking a break, and like there's no telling her otherwise, like she's just like, I just have to get this, and we just need to get, yeah, I'll get you, hold on just a minute, let me do this and this, just like zipping around. And her health is so, but one of the things that she deals with is a lot of back pain. She suffers from MS. She always overexerts herself and then puts herself in like situations. And so it's just like, oh my gosh, like here we go again. But I wasn't paying too much mind to it because I had a lot of stuff going on myself. And so like I was walking around a little bit, saying hi to friends and family, but then it was like, hey, AJ, which is like what they call me. Can you run and grab this, or can you run and grab that? So I was just like, you know what? I think for me today is just going to be trying to like help things run smoothly. Like I saw everybody yesterday. And to be honest, a lot of the people that were there this time were like a lot of extended family who I don't particularly know very well. So I kind of had already seen who I wanted to see, in essence. So I really didn't make my rounds to be like, oh, remember me? Or like, it's me, your aunt, great aunt, whatever. I kind of just stayed in the kitchen the whole time. And when it was time for food service, I kind of moseyed my way back to the kitchen, and my uncle who was helping back there and his partner were like, here's what you can do. You can start replacing the food in the steam trays with what we need. Because essentially, hey, easy. Essentially, we just had this long line. People would get a plate, and we put, it was catered, so they brought the food, but we had to serve it. So we had these big steam trays in the kitchen set up, and it's like an open window kitchen, so you're just throwing stuff out the window. So you take a plate, rice, beans, barbacoa, chicken fajitas, and a spoonful of green chili, and then we were making tortillas on the flat top. So we had this big basket that we were running stacks of tortillas out to. So I got put on swapping the stuff out. So they'd be like, more beans, and there was a holding area with like just giant trays of food. And so I'd have to go grab the one that said frijoles written on it, take the tin off and put it in the steam tray so they could keep serving. And so that's what I was doing. I was just replenishing all that stuff. And then I got put on tortilla duty, so I was making tortillas, making tortillas and then running them out to the big basket. And then there was potluck stuff too, so it was also a potluck. So people brought a ton of food, just veggies, anything you can think of. And there was a chicken option, so it was fried chicken with sides. So I was running the big things of fried chicken out. Oh, wow. We already finished the meadow loop. Do you want to do it in reverse? Do you want to go back the way we came? Let's do that. Let's go back the way we came, and then we'll see where we're at. Because that was short. We only did 0.86 miles. So just refilling everything. And so we did the first initial big rush, and then the mariachis came as we were serving, so everyone wanted to go see them. They were playing outside. So things kind of slowed down, so everyone kind of left, and they were doing their own thing. Apollo, I'm gonna stop you next time you eat that much grass, because you're gonna throw up. Stop it. So yeah, the mariachis were outside, so people wanted to go watch them. So my mom left, my uncle took off for a minute. So it was like a little bit of a slow time. So I was able to wipe down the countertops, just kind of put the tin back on some stuff we hadn't used, take some of the trays over to the sink, just some general tidying up. And I could hear the mariachis in the background, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But then, like, another wave of people showing up for the event started coming in and going right to the food line. Like, they basically came to eat. And so I was kind of by myself. I think there was like 2 of us back there. Me and one of my mom's friends. She used to be the caretaker for my grandma before she passed away. Her name's Rosario. And so she was back there, and so we're like slinging trays left and right. It was like, okay, we need 20 more plates. And I'm like, okay, it's just the 2 of us, so give us a minute. So I'm trying to like prepare the plates, give them to the person, flip the tortillas, run the tortillas out. And so I honestly didn't mind it. I like feeling needed. I like having a purpose. I liked the busyness of it. I used to work in restaurants. I worked at several restaurants on the cruise ship. And so I like the stress of it all, oddly. Not forever. I couldn't do it as a career, but it really feeds something for me. Like that just need to like, and it's very task oriented. So it's like, just knock it out, check off the boxes, get that done, get that done. So I just had a blast. So I'm doing all that. It finally quiets down enough where I can make myself a plate. So I'm eating, and and then the mariachis came inside, so we got to hear them, because a lot of the older folks, just that couldn't do the sun, were inside. So they came in and played for them. I got to listen to them as I was cleaning up, and went outside, walked around a little bit, and then I had signed up to do the kids area from 3 to 4. And meanwhile, I have no eyes on my mom. I don't know what she's doing, not doing at that point. There's just so many people, 400 people. They had also done a group photo, and I included that in my last vlog. They had us all go out to the baseball field and take a picture. So I used my action camera that I'm filming on. I have a big long selfie stick, like a super tall one. And so I was able to get a good view. They also had drones out there taking photos and stuff. So yeah, we did the group photo, went back inside, tidied up, hung out, ate some more of my food, and then it was time for me to go do my shift in the kids area. So they had all these covered tents with different games, like a Plinko game, pick the duck game, where you could win prizes. There was a beanbag one, a milk jug toss, and then 2 bounce houses, one for little kids, and then one for like 7 to 12, I think it was. Well, on the list, it had me and my cousin signed up to do the duck game. So it was like basically 2 inflatable pools. The kids pick a duck, they get 3 chances, and they flip it over, and there's numbers and symbols written on them that correspond with the prize. Some of them don't have anything, so that's a not winning duck. But the majority of them had prizes, so like every kid, I would assume, would get a prize. But anyway, so I was assigned to that on the spreadsheet. I saw the spreadsheet. It said duck game from 3 to 4. If it had said bounce house, I probably would have asked to switch, because I don't want to be responsible for somebody's nasty kids that I don't know or barely know. So like, I don't want to have to yell at a kid. I don't want to have to get somebody's mom because somebody broke an arm or got in a bounce house fight or threw up. It's like, absolutely not. So I was happy when I saw the sign up sheet and that's not what I got assigned to. Lo and behold, I get out there. My aunt's like, okay, you're doing bounce house. I'm out of here. I was like, all right. And she's like, here's the rules. Maximum of X amount of kids at a time. You have to make sure that they look generally of the right age to be in there. No climbing on X, Y, Z areas. Like all these rules. I'm just like, gosh darn it. This is not what I wanted to do. But in the moment, I couldn't just be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. So I was like, fine. And so I was out there by myself for like the first 20 minutes, and then my cousin who was supposed to work it with me, she's like, what came up? She's like, what are we doing? I thought we were doing the duck thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Our aunt took off. And she said she was over it, and so I'm here now. And it was not in the shade, it was just folding chairs in front of the bounce houses in the bright, bright sun. So I'm like sweating, I'm slathering on sunscreen. And so they started, gnats. They started closing up all the other games. And I was like, you mean to tell me that everybody else is done, but we have to sit out here for another hour and watch these dang kids bounce around and scream and yell? And so I was like, you know what? If they're shutting it down, I'm shutting it down. And there was like the same 4 or 5 kids that were just causing havoc in the bounce houses. Like, just the bad kids, you know? Probably not the bad kids, but like pushing each other and like, ooh, I caught a frog, and trying to bring a frog into the bounce house. And I'm like, no, no, no. And then trying to get into the bounce house with their shoes on. I'm like, take your shoes off and put them in the bin. No toys in there. Nothing sharp, you know. I'm just like, oh my God, I hate this. And so after about 30 minutes, I was like, no, we're done here. If everyone, like, we were literally the only 2 people out there with all these kids. And a couple of the kids' parents, like the smaller kids, were there with their kids. But other than that, it was just kind of a free-for-all. And so I was like, no, I'm not, and we're not. And you gave me a bullhorn. So I got on the bullhorn. I'm like, attention all bounce house guests. You have 10 minutes remaining until the bounce houses close. 10 minutes. Get your bounces in while you can. And then it has like a siren. So I was like, wee-woo, attention bounce house guests. So the kids are all looking at me like, what is this dude's problem? And I said something along the lines of like, bring your final purchases to the registers for checkout. You know, like, we're closing up. And so I waited like 3 minutes, and I'm like, okay, that's been about 5 minutes, right? I'll do a 5-minute alert. My cousin's like, it's been like 3 minutes. I'm like, yeah, but kids don't know time. So I was like, attention, all bounce house customers, the bounce houses will be closing in 5 minutes. And then I waited like another 2 minutes. I'm like, the bounce houses are closed. And so I got all the kids out of there. And then one of my mom's cousins, so we call them aunts, one of my aunts came up with her little grandson, little baby boy, and she's like, oh, they're closing? And I was like, yeah, but get in there. So she went in with her little baby grandson and bounced for like a few minutes, and then they left. She's like, thank you. I was like, no problem. So I took the little barricades and put them up in front of the bounce houses. I was like, I'm done here. We're done here. So I went over to take the bullhorn and the folding chairs back to my aunt. She's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, we're gonna close up the bounce houses. She's like, oh, okay, well, let me go ask your mom, or ask, I forget who she said, but let me go check with somebody. I was like, oh, no, like, I shut them down. Like, I kicked all the kids out. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I wasn't asking, I was telling. And she's like, oh, okay. I was like, if everyone else is gonna leave us because they want to go socialize, like, then we should be able to close up shop too, you know? I just got done in the kitchen. So, close those up. Not 10 minutes later, I'm back in the kitchen just to double check on things, and one of my aunts comes out. She's like, oh, your mom seems to be not doing well. They have her in the senior center. So it's basically like a giant craft room with like 12 tables, some sewing machines, anything crafty related, a full kitchen, some TVs, some lazy boys. So it's like the seniors can come in and just hang out on the weekdays and socialize in town. It's like a little, it's part of the community center, which makes sense. So they had 2 nurses on staff, EMTs, that we hired to help out in case anyone got heat stroke. You know, it's an older crowd. And my cousin and her son were in there because he was feeling overheated and was just not having a good time. So they had a cold compress on him. He's hanging out, and my mom is like shaking and says she feels like really hot, like throbbing headache, kind of crampy. I was like, oh no. So they have cold compresses on her. They're really trying to cool her down, get her to drink some water. And I was like, oh, are you feeling okay? And she just kind of had like exasperated, like, yeah, I'm fine. I just need to sit down. I'm like, okay. So I sat behind her at the counter and I was like helping them clean up trash. They had like lemonade and iced tea and stuff in there. But at this point, we're pushing 4 or 5 o'clock. And so they're like, yeah, we don't need to set up refreshments back here. Like, they thought some of the seniors would go hang out back there, but they really didn't. It's kind of tucked away. So that we cleaned up the iced tea and the lemonade and the coffee, and just we're cleaning up the kitchen area. We had some snacks out. I was like, okay, that's cleaned up. I hear my mom saying, okay, I'm fine now. I'm cold. You're putting all these compresses on me. I'm fine. I want to go dance, because we had the mariachis out there, and the party's still going. And I'm like, okay, she's trying to get out of here. She must feel fine. So I helped take the trash out from the senior center. Went chatting with a couple of people, and I was like, I'm tired. Apollo has now been locked up for 9 hours at this point. It's time to go. So I said goodbye to a couple people, but I didn't go around and like say goodbye to every single person. I just said goodbye to like a couple folks and I left. So I'm driving home. I'm about 10 minutes outside of town, and my uncle calls me and he's like, your mom took a turn for the worse. It seems pretty serious. You need to come back here right now. And my other brother, Cameron, was DJing there, and he had left after his DJ set. So he's like, call your brothers, tell them to come here too. I'm like, oh my God. So I like immediately start crying, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. He just said serious, so I'm freaking out. So I whip around on the highway. I hope my mom doesn't mind me telling this. She watches these videos. Hi, Mom. I hope you're doing okay. Whip around on the highway, and I'm like speeding back, race back into town, and as I pull up, the ambulance is there with the fire truck, and they're loading her into the ambulance. Like, I'm parked behind them as they're loading her in, and they have fluids on her, and I didn't even stop to ask anyone. Like, I didn't get out of the car. I wasn't like, what's going on or what happened. They closed up the ambulance and they drove away. So I followed them. And then one of my mom's really close friends, I call her aunt as well. In Mexican families, everybody's an auntie. So one of my aunts / my mom's friend from school, she called me as they were loading her up with my mom's phone. So I thought it was my mom, but I'm like, I see her. She's not on her phone. She just looked really out of it and like just in pain. And so she called me from my mom's phone. She's like, hey, they think it's heat stroke. They don't know what's going on. They just said she was very dehydrated seeming. So they're going to take her in just to be sure, because she has other things going on. So she's like, I'm giving her phone, and I see her like give the phone to my mom, or put it in her shoes, or I don't know where they put it, but put her in the ambulance. I follow her, and then like maybe about 5 minutes before we get to the hospital, they put their sirens on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so I didn't know if it was just them trying to get through the intersections, but we get to the hospital, and immediately I get checked in. They're like, we're still, getting her set up. She's going to be going through a CAT scan, a couple other tests before she gets to her room, but you can go back there in the ER. And right away, my mom's friend and her husband showed up, and my mom's partner. So we're all there. They only let 2 people back at a time, and they come out and bring her back. And she still seems, she's chatting with the nurses. She just seemed a little tired, like she had a headache, and she said the lights were hurting her eyes. So we switched the lights, and turns out it was just exhaustion and dehydration. She was severely dehydrated, and she hadn't been sleeping the night before, because she's just prepping and cutting fruit and prepping this and putting decorations together. So didn't sleep at all the night before. Neither did my brother, because he's helping her. So I'm like, okay, you didn't sleep for 2 days. You get to the event and you're nonstop speed walking everywhere, and you haven't had a drink of water, and your stress levels are high. She was like, I wasn't that stressed. I'm like, I can see on your face when you are pissed or when you are just like hyper focused and just want everyone to shut up so we can get stuff done. And you had that face all day long. And she was doing that, like the walk like this, you know? It's like, yeah, you're gonna wear yourself out. You're not, you know, you're getting older, and it's okay to set boundaries for yourself and listen to your body when you need to take a break. No one's asking you to push yourself this hard. It's not necessary. And so she's like, you look mad. And I'm like, you know, I didn't say it in the moment, but I'm like, well, I'm more upset because I need to know what's going on. This was before the doctor told us what was happening. I'm like, I'm anxious because I want to know what's going on, but also I'm a little pissed. Like, it sucks that you're here. I don't ever want you to be here, but you know, you need to take care of yourself, you know, like listen to your body when it's like, enough's enough. I need a 30-minute break. No, the party's not going to completely shut down because you take a seat for an hour, you know? So it's just like, so my frustration was partly like, want to make sure she's okay, but also like, this happens a lot. Like, it happens relatively frequently. And so I was just pissed about that, you know? Or just more frustrated, I guess. Like, why does it have to be like this, you know? Like, why can't you just calm down? So yeah, it was a lot. So of course I didn't go back to the party. I went, you know, oh, actually I did. Hold on. That's the other part that kind of sucks. So at this point I've already, you know, messaged Scott. He ended up not going as I predicted. He was like, I'm not into it. I was like, that's fine. I didn't invite you necessarily. So I was like, can you let Apollo out? And they're like, yeah, we actually took him out earlier and he played in the backyard for a couple hours, but we'll go grab him again. So they took care of the boy, my roommates did. And so now we've got to figure out, like, we've got to get mom back home. The community center needed to be completely cleaned and locked up at the end of the night. And my mom had the keys. And so, and my brother was there and he had already told me that he hadn't slept in 2 days. He's like, I'll drive mom home. I'm like, you just told me that you were falling asleep at the wheel driving here because you were so tired. You need to go home and get some rest. Let mom's friend, who had already said she would, bring mom home, and I'll go and I'll wrap up shop. That way, if people have questions or they're being, you know, annoying for whatever reason, I can just shut it all down. Because I can be, you know, I'd like to say I'm a kind person in general, very helpful, but I can also be an asshole when it's time to be an asshole. Sorry for using that word, but yes, I can be, if things need to happen, then I can get them done, and I can get them done in a very succinct way. And if people need to be given direct instruction, I'm not afraid to dole that out. So anyway, so it's like, yeah, if anyone's putting up a fuss or, you know, has anything to say, then I'll be there to field that. You don't have to deal with it. And mom's friend doesn't have to deal with it. I'll just go. I was like, where are the keys to the convention center? My mom's like, oh, they're on my key ring. I was like, okay. Well, Apollo, we did 1.71 miles. We still have plenty of talking to do. Let's go again. We're going to go again. So yeah, I got my mom's car keys, took the keys that we believed to be the community center keys off of the key ring, and I drove back there. Luckily, you know, the party was already winding down, and I talked to my aunt. She's like, yeah, it did kind of wrap up after your mom got taken away in an ambulance, but because it was supposed to go till 8:30, I get there and it's around 6:30, maybe a little bit later. And most everyone was already gone. There was like one pod of family members, about 20 or so, that were still playing baseball and drinking and stuff. So we kind of let them be. They ended up leaving within like 45 minutes of me getting there. But they had done a good majority of the cleaning, which was very nice of them. So I didn't have to do any sort of like major stuff. I had to help take some trash to the dumpster. wipe down some tables, break down a few things, wipe down the kitchen, and then a lot of like, there's a lady there that's also a family friend, but she kind of manages the senior center, and she's just kind of the town keeper. Like, she manages the museum, she helps out at the library, she's just all over town. She's kind of like an institution in the town. But she was like, are these yours, or are these are the community centers? Are these community centers, or are these yours? Did you bring these? I'm like, I don't have answers for you because I didn't bring all of this stuff here. So anything that you believe to be ours, and you know it's not the community centers, just put on the top of this counter, and you don't have to ask for every single item, you know, every bag of napkins and every roll of foil. If you know it's not yours, just put it on the counter and we'll deal with it. No need to ask every time, because after like the 20th one, hey, easy, easy. After like the 20th one, I was like, okay, enough. You know, she's very sweet and good intention, but it was like, and this, and what about this? Hey, what about this serving spoon? Is this someone's serving spoon? And it's like, if you know it's not yours, put it somewhere and we'll handle it. Like, no need to ask. So we got everything loaded up and, you know, sent around, cleaned up. I went through and I swept the whole place. I walked the whole perimeter of the building. And, but the first thing I did when I got there was to check the keys. They're not the right keys. So we're searching in my mom's car because that's the car that I drove out to. Oh, no. So how did this work? Okay, so I drove my own car back with the keys, realized they're not the right keys, call my brother who had left the hospital, and he was in my mom's car. And he was like, okay, I was like, I know you're tired, can you just stop by the community center? This is a tiny little town. I mean, it's a 2-minute drive to the house. Stop by the community center, let's check mom's purse, let's check the center consoles, let's check all around the car, let's search. So he gets there, we search the whole car, don't find anything. Then somebody's like, I think your mom threw them on a kitchen counter before she was, you know, they were gonna put her on the stretcher. So I'm like tearing apart the countertops, can't find anything. So then I call my mom's friend and I was like, can you please just like maybe search in her shoes, or like they've got to be somewhere. They're in her back pocket. They're in her freaking back pocket this whole time. And so she's like, all right, well, they want to hold your mom for a while just to keep an eye on her. And so I'll come bring you the keys, and then I'll go back into Longmont, which is like about a 25-minute drive, pick her up, bring her home. And I was like, thank you so much. Like, you have no idea how much this means, because I was trying to leave like 4 hours ago to take care of my dog, and I'm just done. I'm just done. Like, this turned from like a, hey, show up and set up, watch the kids for a little bit, and that be that, to like, I've been serving food, and you know, and it's once again, I'm the same as my mom. Like, no one's asking me to do these things, but I just do them. But I was just tired. And so she's like, okay, so she leaves to start bringing the keys. They discharge my mom like when she's halfway halfway to the community center. So she turns around, goes and picks up my mom, comes back again. By now we're looking at 9 o'clock. I'm there all by myself. Every single person's left. There's a lightning storm, knocks the power out. I'm sitting in this dark community center all by myself. Like, what the hell? And I go in because they had left some extra food in a fridge. And I go in there and there's one single solitary beer. And I was like, you, sir, are my new best friend. So I just like, hey, chill out. So I just sat and like had a beer and waited until they got there. So they finally got there and my mom's with her. And at first I was annoyed by that because I'm like, I wish you would have just taken her home, because now I'm worried that she's gonna want to like inspect everything and make sure it's all clean. It's like, you've done enough work for today. Like, this can all wait. And we cleaned up really good. Like, we took care of everything. So she didn't poke around. They went and used the restroom. and we left. And by that time, it's about 9 o'clock. I get home at 10, and I'm just like, geez Louise, I don't ever see myself being the type of person that would initiate conversations for a family reunion ever again. And that might make me a bad person, but I just, unless we came up with enough money to have it entirely taken care of, no potluck necessary, no working a kitchen necessary, everything is handled by a caterer or a third party or something, but never again, never again. And I'm not even the one that really set it up. It was all my mom. But even the mild stuff that I did, and then just like the chaos that ensued, I'm just like, forget that. I'll Zoom call my family members if I want to talk to them if they're out of state. But there's no need to have everyone pulling their hair out, getting pissy and frustrated, going to the hospital just so a bunch of people can drink some beers together and have Mexican food. And I get it that the older folks, like the old generation from around the country, this may be one of the last times that they all get together like that. And that's beautiful. But to what end? You know, to what end? So I might be a bad family person, and I kind of think of myself as one. I don't really interact with my extended family that much at all, but I'm just like, it just didn't seem, in my eyes, now somebody else's eyes, you know, a great aunt that got to see her cousin or something for the first time in years might feel differently, but it didn't feel worth it to me, unfortunately. I was just like, I could have done with everyone meeting up at Country Buffet and calling it good, you know? It was just something else, you know? And if I wasn't actively participating and helping out, and if it wasn't my mom that had gotten ill, maybe I'd feel differently. Like, it was a blast. I just got to hang out and chat with family and stuff, but that wasn't my reality. So yeah, I personally would never do it again. I wouldn't participate in setting something up, and if I was, it would be to call people, vendors, to take care of the entire thing, so people could actually have a good time, or at least everyone could have a good time. So that happened. Let's see, let's stop here. Oh, we got a little bit of cloud cover coming in. So yeah, I don't know. Part of me is like, you should spend a lot more time with family. But like extended family, it's just like, yeah, it's a two-way street, you know? So we all have our own lives and families, and most of them have kids and stuff now. So it's just kind of like, I guess it's nice, but I'm not like dying to see every second and third cousin, you know. I'm just not. I hope that doesn't make me a monster, but I just don't. It's like the people that I see when I see them are the people that I want to see when I see them. You know what I mean? So going through all this just seemed like a lot. And I didn't even do that much. So I can only imagine. So yeah, that's kind of life stuff up until today. Work's going good. It's actually, I don't even want to say it, but things are looking good. I don't have any wood to knock on, but things are going good this week. That's all I'll say. I don't want to jinx it. I'm having trouble with the connection. Of course you are, Siri. We don't have service up here. Ma'am. Paulo's doing good. He's just bopping around, living his life. He didn't seem at all fazed by me being gone. Of course, he jumped on me and gave me tons of love, but he seemed pretty tuckered out, so I think they let him out with Bowie and maybe one of my roommate's girlfriend's dogs. So I didn't feel obligated to take him for like a long walk or anything when I got back. He just kind of plopped down. I was like, oh, good. Oh, good. So yeah, I got home and I feel so bad for my roommate because the past couple times I've left him alone with Apollo, or like he's gotten home before I have, because he's not home every night. He stays with his girlfriend a few nights a week, but the past couple nights he's come home, he's always created some sort of situation. So last time he let Apollo roll around and poop. Get it. This time I came home, he's like, hey, I left the freezer door open and it looks like some stuff started to thaw and now the freezer's making this horrible noise. At first I thought someone was running an air compressor and I was like, why is there an air compressor still turned on this late at night? And it wasn't, it was the fridge going like, and I was like, oh my gosh, if you broke the damn fridge. So I got up off the ground, I literally flopped over on the ground when I got home. Went and inspected it, tried to wipe some of the dew because a lot of moisture had collected from it, the door being open. Didn't look like anything had fully thawed, just like some of the ice cubes were partially thawed. There was just a lot of moisture in there. So I wiped everything down, tried wiping it down, unplugging it, plugging it back in. It was still making that noise. I'm like, I'm not doing this tonight. I'm going to bed. He's like, I wasn't asking. I'm like, I know. I'm sorry, I'm projecting. It's just been a lot. He's like, I'll take care of it in the morning. Well, I woke up in the morning way early on Sunday and it was still making that noise a little bit. And I was like, what's going on? So I unplugged it. It had formed a bunch of ice crystals and stuff around the fan. So I took the fan cover off and cleaned that off really good and it fixed. So we didn't have to get a repair or anything like that, thank God. So yeah, and then Sunday I did nothing. I did nothing. I diamond painted and did just some catching up on chores, took Apollo for a super long walk, and we just kind of had a chill day. Because I was just like not into it. I was not having it. It's like yesterday was a nightmare. At least the second half of it. So then yesterday just worked and took Apollo for a walk, made some dinner, and then today it was a work from home day, so not too crazy. Made some lunch. I'm gonna make dinner tonight when we get home, and that's kind of it. That puts us to now. So yeah, not a lot of diamond painting done, or any really, since the last time we spoke. Actually on Sunday I did get some done. So whips, I'll only talk about the stuff that I touched, which was Senorita. I got about another section and a half of Senorita done. That's the only kit that I got a chance to work on. But I did get a chance to upload a couple of vlogs that I had sitting in the bank that I was too lazy to edit. Finally got those edited and posted. I got an unboxing up. I have a skincare finish video that I did that'll be going up before you see this. It was a finish and review some skincare empties that I did. So got a decent amount of content up. We had our live, our Summer with the Masters live on Sunday. That's what I did Sunday. So we had that live, and I got on. I wrote Katie, and I was like, just a heads up, my roommate decided that he wants to work on his she shed outside, so he's got the compressor running and the saws, and I was like, but let's just, at first we were just kind of tossing around the idea, just with everything that went on with the family reunion, of maybe pushing it out. And I was like, no, that'll probably just stress me out. And so I was like, let's just get this done. And she had her kiddos that were near her. And so we were like, let's just get on there, announce these prizes, thank everyone, but let's not make this like a 2-hour, chit chat. So that's, oh, you are so gross. Just went to go grab a piece of something out of his mouth and it was covered in slobber. Oh, Apollo. So yeah, it was relatively quick, but the whole time I was just like, I was typing out a text message to my roommate to be like, hey, how can I convince you to take a 30-minute break so I can do this live? I was like, forget it, let's just power through. And it was fun. I had a blast. We weren't really reading comments. We were trying not to like get too sucked into that. It was very much like, here's our winners. Congratulations, let's go. But it was a blast. It was fun. Quick live, but it was good. So I still need to send all the small shops their final winner stuff, and I have 2 kits and a pen that I need to ship out. So I'll probably work on that tomorrow or maybe this weekend. So yeah, but thanks for everyone for participating. That was a lot of fun. It definitely taught me a lot about running events. You know, Katie kind of was, you know, at the helm the whole time, but I got a chance to kind of poke in here and there and just kind of see the process and help out where I could and just learn a little bit about what it takes. And it's not a ton. And I said this in a previous vlog. It was rather easy. You know, it was a little set it and forget it for the most part. But yeah, there's still people I think that emailed me or Instagram messaged me asking if there's an exit form, and I still haven't responded to them, and we already did the drawing, but there's no exit form. So I will get to that. So that was the one thing, is just keeping up with the messages and stuff. I'm still a little behind on some things, but other than that, not too bad. So yeah, once you get through the prep stages, I think that's the hardest part, is like reaching out to sponsors, coordinating what kind of giveaways are going to be provided, coming up with all the back of house stuff, which Katie had pretty much set up, but like, you know, the tracker of everyone that signed up and creating the sign up forms. It's like all the admin stuff and the lead up to an event. That's kind of the hardest and most time consuming part, is just building it out. Especially if you're creating a Facebook group around it and trying to manage that, and making sure you're acknowledging people on their social medias when they provide progress photos. So it's just like the admin stuff can be a lot. So having said that, I was just kind of, after this weekend and just everything that happened at, you know, the family reunion and with my mom, it just kind of brought me back to this place of like, maybe you do need to like refocus even more, spend some more time just taking care of yourself and your own personal health, which I am, but I feel like when life really starts to take hold, the first thing that goes is like my desire to, and it's not even film these videos, like I would be up here walking, but the editing, like getting home and listening back to make sure it sounds decent, and checking for pauses when people are like running by. I pretty much listen back to all of my videos during editing to clean them up, and it can take time, and then getting them posted or feeling obligated to post in a certain amount of time. Like, even though I know that those are all self expectations that have been set upon me by myself, it's still a good chunk of like my free time, you know? Especially when more and more things start to like encroach, and when I'm trying to add more things on top of it, I think that's also where I start to get really scattered and a little foggy, because I'm like, you know, just like my mom and, you know, my family, like just trying to do too many things, you know, all at once. And now that I've started incorporating skincare back into my content creation, it's been an easy transition, or, you know, I'm slowly adding stuff, but it has started to feel like a lot, and I want to keep doing more runs with Apollo. I can't really run when we do these vlogs because I'd be huffing and puffing. So it's like, I don't know. I just don't know. So moral of the story is, I had this next event, the Cross Stitch Conversion 2023 event, just kind of looming over me, not necessarily in a negative way, but just like, we gotta start building this out. Like, we've got trackers to put together, we've got sponsors to reach out to. You know, I had said that I was gonna do a bunch of live streams in the lead up to the event to answer questions about Cross Stitch Conversion. You know, like all that prep stuff. And it felt kind of like we just wrapped up Summer with the Masters, and I feel like it's time to get right back into it again, you know, or right back into like planning and prepping and all of that stuff. And we're 2 months out, and I didn't want to keep dragging this on or feeling like, you know, excited for this event because I love cross stitch conversions and I love diamond painting, but not feeling super like 100% enthusiastic about actually, you know, taking this on right now. So I reached out to Hannah and Sophie, and I was just very transparent with them. I was like, it's not that I don't want to do the event at all. I just feel like this isn't the right time for me to jump back in full bore and start prepping another event, even though they are relatively easy. It's this front of house, or the back, I don't know what it would be called, but it's like the prep stuff is time consuming, and it's a lot of back and forth with shops. It's a lot of back and forth with, you know, the co-host of like figuring out all the details and like who's gonna take on what, and you know, it is a decent amount at the beginning. And I don't feel up for it at the end of the day. I just don't feel up for it. I want to focus on enjoying the rest of the summer with Apollo, doing some backpacking trips, kind of going off the grid a little bit and not feeling worried about that, and just kind of doing my own thing. And I know that it feels right now, it feels very selfish because I had already signed up to do this event, but I was just transparent of like, I just don't have it in me. My interest level in kicking this off, you know, another event off, is like 0. And so I don't want to put you guys in a position where you're scrambling come later on this month and all through September trying to pick up the slack for me because I'm not that invested in this. And once again, it's not that I don't want to do it or am not interested in cross-stitch conversions or events, but it's just not, now that everything's kind of done, with the masters and just other things going on in life, I'm just like, I don't want to, and I don't think I can. And I don't feel like this is something that it's like, well, just push through, you know, like, no, this is a diamond painting event, you know, if this was work, then yeah, suck it up. But, moral of the story is we came to the conclusion that we're going to be postponing the event, at least until 2024 at some point. I don't have a specific date for you. I don't know if that's spring or next fall or I don't know, but it's kind of mutually decided on. I'm sure that I bummed them out, and I hate to be that person, but it just isn't feasible. And I told them straight up, you know, if this is something that you feel you can run yourselves, or if you have a third person in mind that can step in, I am 150,000% okay with that. I'm not saying that it can't go on because I don't want to go on. Please make the moves necessary if you feel like this needs to stay with this same timeline. No hard feelings. I will participate. And I even said, if there's anything I can do in the background, you know, if it's checking in on the Facebook group from time to time, or, you know, making a Google Doc here and there, I'm happy to do that. I just can't do, you know, the coordination piece of it. And it was definitely different with Summer with the Masters because, like I said, Katie had the majority of the groundwork laid, but this is a brand new event, first of its kind. And so there's going to be a lot more communication needed because this is an event that people have been doing for a couple years. Lots of questions. I just foresee it, and it's, you know, half a month longer. Actually, it's 2.5 months. And I haven't even begun to think about like the content that I was going to put up for that, the planning, you know, all of that stuff. So I just told them, you know, if you want me to just be a silent supporter, and you can just message me saying, hey, Anthony, would you mind, you know, going through the Facebook group and responding, or, you know, helping us with this Google Doc. I was like, yeah, I can absolutely help in those capacities, but I just don't want to disappoint you guys by being a absentee Annie when push comes to shove. So I totally provided several outs for that, but they seem pretty insistent that we stay together. And so we're just going to push it out. So I hope that doesn't bum anyone out if you had already purchased all your cross-stitch conversion stuff and you were ready and raring to go. I encourage you, if you don't want to wait for us, or if you are bummed out about it and want to just get started on the kit, please do. We're not requiring any starts or new starts or finishes, so you can absolutely start the event with the partially completed kit when we get back to it. It sucks. I don't like being the person to change plans or bail. Like, I like follow through, but I'm just kind of at this point right now where I'm just like, no. I mean, on paper, it sounded like, oh, well, you'll finish with Summer with the Masters, you'll have 2 months, and then you can start on your next event. But these 2 months are probably the busiest part of that event, is the planning, the prepping, the communication, you know, working with shops. Ooh, I got a bug bite right on my, mosquito bite right on my lip. Ugh. That's kind of the big push. And so I guess I didn't have the foresight to think that through, that actually August and September are going to be popping off as you get this all together, you know. So it just ended up not being the right move for me. So we'll see. I encourage you, like I said, if you do have a kit, this way. If you do have a kit that you're bummed that you didn't get to work on starting in October, it will happen. It's just on pause for right now, and we'll kind of work through timing and stuff as we move through the rest of the year. But it also frees people up because I know there's a lot of other events going on, a lot of events overlapping. You've got Drills and Chills that's overlapping. I know there's some Christmas events, there's tons of stuff overlapping. So I think it'll be okay. And my apologies if you are upset or bummed out because you purchased stuff or were looking forward to it. It will still happen, but we all need to take care of ourselves. And I'm not one to just keep quiet until things build up too much. I'd rather raise my hand early, even though honestly, I immediately kind of waffled after we had that conversation of like, you can do this, Anthony, just push through it. You can do this. It's not that big of a deal. Come on. Like, you're gonna upset people. People are, not gonna be as excited to engage with this event if you postpone it, and, that's disappointing and you're letting people down. And so I did waffle on that, and I think it's because I haven't hit an absolute breaking point yet, but I think it's okay to raise the flag now and just say, hey, I just can feel myself getting to a place where, I don't want this event to feel like burdensome or like stressful, and I feel like if I was to jump in head first right now, it would quickly become that. So I just have to play it cool, it's just a craft. So it's not, my life doesn't depend on it. Our lives don't depend on this event. So it's gonna be okay. And I know everyone's really understanding. So yeah, that's what's going on there. I'm a wimp, I guess. I just couldn't see myself pushing through that right now. So yeah, I was actually messaging Sophie and Hannah at the hospital, like, I can't do this. So you know where my headspace was at when I made that decision. But yeah, so we'll get back to it. We'll make it happen. I think it's going to be nice just to not have any event obligations the rest of the year. Maybe I'll get to a place where I can take on, you know, back-to-back events or, you know, coordinate in that capacity. But I think I might be I might need a beginning of the year event, get like 4 months off or, you know, something like that, and then get back into it with something else, you know. But even that 2-month break is a little daunting. And maybe we'll set a new date soon, confirm a new date, and then can start planning and prepping a little bit more long form and casually, like have the whole rest of the year to just pick at tasks rather than like, all right, the gun's going off, let's go, go, go. Here's the mansion. Whew. I don't know if anyone's here. Historic context exhibit. It's really pretty. I like the little carriage house. Okay, let's go, buddy. We did 2.89 miles. Whew. There's pretty flowers. Let's look. Those are really pretty. Wonder what those are. So yeah, Cross Stitch Conversion 2023 is being put on hiatus until we can kind of regroup, but hopefully the 2-month notice is good enough for people. I'd hate to spring it on people like a couple weeks beforehand, so hopefully 8 weeks is enough time to feel your feels and hopefully stick with us. I hope that there's no one that's like throwing their diamond painting pen against the wall. Like, are you kidding me? But if you are, just have a glass of water, stay hydrated. So yeah, what else? Yeah, and on that note, you know, I don't know, I already said that August would probably be a quiet time for me, just as far as content, because I do want to take a little bit of a summer break. In fact, I took off most of next week from work. So depending on when you see this, I took the week of, I think it's like the 12th next week, maybe, the 13th, 14th. Anyway, that whole week, I'm pretty much off of work. So me and Apollo are gonna do probably a little camping, backpacking trip, or just some really long day hikes. So I might record some vlogs, but I'm not going to come home and immediately sit down and edit for hours. I'm just gonna log them and then start posting them when I get back, I think is my plan, or at least delay it. So I'm not like feeling, because that's usually what I do. I get home and I'm immediately like feeling the need to just get right in and edit and post and schedule and create the thumbnail, and you know, so I think I'm just gonna let it ride, record with you all, and then you'll get to see it when I get back or something like that. So you might have a week or two of no content. I'm not sure, but I'm just prepping you for that. So yeah, vlogs. I did some unboxings, and I really streamlined my unboxings. They were both less than 10 minutes, and I'm like, is it even worth doing these? But I'm like, you know, people just like to see the canvas and the rendering, so I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Like, didn't go through the DMCs, didn't spend a ton of time picking them apart. I was just like, here's the canvas, here's the rendering, symbol quality looks good, glue looks good, here's the colors, here's the DMCs in their bag, take a good look. This is kind of some cursory enhancements that I might make. All right, bye. So like, they're really quick, straight to the point, but hopefully people like that. I used to set a time of 20 minutes for an unboxing, but now I'm just like, let's just get the information across. Okay, sorry, I lost you. The battery died. But I'm getting some feedback from a number of people that unboxings aren't necessarily their favorite content to watch, or they tend not to even look at them anymore. I don't know what that is. I'm curious. if you haven't already told me, what your reasoning is, let me know. I'm assuming it's because, people don't want to be buying as much, and so the unboxings might make them feel enabled or obligated to purchase, or I'm not sure. I'm curious to hear why unboxings are losing their luster, I guess. Because it seems like, at least since I started, watching diamond painting, YouTube, and content creation, like that's one of the cornerstones is like unboxings, whip and chats, finish, are kind of the three things that you can't go without. So getting a lot of feedback of like, vlogs are fine, not interested in unboxings. So I'm like curious. Let's look over here. Let's look at some views today, shall we? So yeah, I'm gonna keep just streamlining some of that content. Look at that. How pretty. Streamlining unboxings. This way. I looked at my stash and I have 20 kits, I think, that have yet to be unboxed. Either they're still in their packaging, I haven't even opened them, or back in earlier last year when I got a wild hair and unboxed or opened a bunch of kits and never did an unboxing. So between those, I have 20. So if I do one more, I'm booked out for the next 2 weeks. So I'm through like the 3rd week of August. So if I did one every week, then I'd have, 20? That would put us into like, let's see, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 5 months and 2 weeks. So that would put us into next year, right? At least till the end of the year, maybe sometime in January, as far as weekly unboxings, if I did them every week. So I have 2 weeks to decide because I already have my next 2 scheduled and posted. But I was thinking of maybe switching it up and doing every other week, unboxings every other week, just to stretch out my stash, because that would put us essentially into a good portion into next year, before I would need to figure something out, either discontinue unboxings or have more to unbox. I haven't purchased anything in a couple of weeks, I think. And I have no real intention on buying any more diamond paintings right now. I have 4 from Jaded Gem Shop that are on my list of some days, but I really just I don't have the need to buy any more diamond paintings, so I haven't been. Even my, rule of getting anything from Yume Art and Ivy Dollamore, that still stands. But they haven't seen any new ones come out. So I just haven't been purchasing, and in fact, I've been looking more critically at my stash of like, what else can I de-stash, Because right now I'm at about like 65 kits, I think, not including whips. And so, like, maybe I can get that down to 50 or 40. So I don't know. We'll see. I still love the craft. Like, I'm still diamond painting it every day that I can, but it's definitely a lot less. So just the reality of how long it'll take me is continuing to hit. And so I'm just like, these 60 diamond paintings would take me a decade, especially at the size of them. Like, I've done 19 this year alone, but like now I'm moving into the space of my diamond painting purchasing where I'm like got the big Jaded Gem Shop kits, just a lot of long-term projects, big cross-stitch conversions. So it's like, okay, well, if you've done 18, you'll probably get 20 something done by the end of the year. So you could get that 60 something done in 3 years. And it's like, yeah, but I was doing a lot of 60 by 70, 70 by 80s, 57 by whatevers my first year of diamond painting. And now it's like 80 by 90, 100 by 120, 110 by whatever. And so it's like, I'm gonna do half as much or a third just in sizing, and I'm not spending as much time. So yeah, it's just the reality's hitting, And I don't like I like to amass things and start a collection when I'm in it with the thing. Like if I am passionate about that particular craft or hobby or whatever it is, or that hobby or interest, I don't mind having all of the things for that thing around me. But then when I'm over it, suddenly that stuff becomes burdensome. Like I can't just let it sit. So now I'm like, get rid of them all. So that's just kind of where my head's at right now. But yeah, I'm still in it to win it. I feel so bad because I haven't had a finish in a while since what? Transparent? I guess that's been a couple weeks, but I feel like I should have had a finish. And it's just because Senorita is so big and it's taking a lot of time. I think that might be my only finish this month if I can get it done. So yeah. I think once I get these whips done, my strategy will be to have a big kit going, round or square, and then try to find the last few remaining small, relatively small ones, so I feel like I'm getting something done. I'm running out of small ones, so they're all big canvases. So anyway, so yeah, all of that's to say August might be a little quiet the rest of the month. Apollo's like, why are we pacing in a parking lot? I'm not done talking is why, Apollo. Yeah, the rest of August might be quiet. You might see more skincare stuff. I plan on editing and posting a video that I'm going to put on my skincare channel, asking folks to migrate over if they so choose. And then, yeah, because I am doing a lot more of that stuff too. And so right now I have a bigger interest in that. To be completely honest, I've been getting really excited about learning more about new ingredients and formulations, and so you might see some more content focused on particular steps of a routine. You'll see my AM routine, maybe even before this goes up. I have some more products that I'll be most likely wanting to highlight and feature. I may even start doing little mini individual product reviews rather than like waiting till it's finished. I might just start talking about a product after I'm done with my month review. So I actually just wrote yesterday after work, wrote my very first, this way, you can't sit in the middle of the road with cars coming. I wrote my very first full skincare like product review since I stopped doing them. And so that was really exciting. I had used a product for a month. It was an Essence. I wrote, and not a long review. I'm going to start doing them so they're consumable on all platforms, so Instagram and my vlog. I used to write page-long reviews on my blog, and then I would cut them down for Instagram. But now I'm just going to do shorties, less investment of time. You know, it takes 10, 15 minutes to do a write-up. So do that, take a little picture of the product. It goes up on my WordPress. And then it goes up onto my skincare Instagram, which I will continue to keep that separate. But I was thinking maybe I could just do little 5-6 minute reviews of individual products as I finish them. You know, not a huge time investment, just, you know, set up the camera, talk for, 5-6 minutes about a particular product and get that posted and just make little shorties. So if that sounds like something that would be of interest of you to hear more in-depth information on a particular product rather than me going through all of them in a batch, I can definitely do that. And I'd probably still do my finishes. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to think about it because a lot of products I don't actually finish, quote unquote. So I'd have to think about that structure, but I was kind of thinking I like the idea of just honing in on one product, talking about featured ingredients, texture, scent, how it worked for me over the course of X amount of time, and where to get it, pricing, and then move on. So we'll see. You might see those pop up regardless, but I'd love to hear your feedback. And yeah, so just more of a transition. I updated my intro video clip to say crafting, outdoors, skincare, and tangents. So really am just transitioning into kind of an all-encompassing just lifestyle kind of channel. And I even changed my header to incorporate the same thing. So nothing will say diamond painting specific anymore. Okay, let's go. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. We're moving into this more just kind of general space. And I think, with that said, it's just kind of gonna be more about just things that I'm doing and enjoying in life. And so the event stuff is just very specific to diamond painting, and that investment of time is very specific. So I think that's another reason why I'm just like, things have changed. Things have changed for me. And they change frequently. And so maybe I shouldn't be the person that's like, sure, I'll sign up for this, or let's do this commitment of an event and stuff. Because it's just like 3 months later, I'm going to be like, so I'm really into bodyboarding. So I want to do that now. I don't know if I'm the guy for it, but I am going to see this cross-stitch conversion event through. It's just, I just need a little bit of a longer hiatus to make it happen. So anyway, where do you want to go? Do you want to go over here? I'm gonna go over here. Let's go this way. So yeah, I just need a little bit of a breather. We'll get back to it, we'll wrap it up, and then we'll kind of just see where the channel goes and where my desire for events and stuff goes. And they're not bad things. Like I love events. I think I would love to participate in them. I just need to be more realistic and just kind of just kind of assess what my intentions are with like the channel and how involved I want to be in that side of the community stuff. And I think after that event, there's only really that event and one other that I would want to do yearly. I just need a little bit more of a break. The timing's off. In a perfect world, I'm not trying to be presumptuous, and I hope Katie's okay with me saying this. This is just me speaking my truth, is if I only had to do the cross-stitch conversion in Summer with the Masters every year, like, cross-stitch conversion in the winter, like January, February, and then Summer with the Masters in the summer, that would be like perfect world for me. But yeah, I think cross-stitch conversion was just a little too close for me. At least right now with the reunion and all that stuff. Next year might be completely different, where I'm like, yeah, my stress levels are much lower, so it's fine that these are, only a couple months apart. But as it stands, it's just a little off, which I think is okay. I just want to come take a look at Golden. Come here, baby. So yeah, once again, hopefully don't upset anyone. And content in general will continue to change and evolve. For the skincare stuff, I'm gonna stop being like, okay, everyone, it's a skincare video. I hope that's okay. I'm just gonna do it because the channel is now. It's officially not a diamond painting channel. I hope I don't lose a bunch of people, but it's not. Or at least that's not all it is. I will continue to do my finishes and reviews and unboxings as long as I have stuff to unbox. And part of me thought today was going to be a whip and chat day, because I thought the news of the cross-stitch conversion stuff was a little heavier. So I was like, maybe I need to sit down and make sure I have my wits about me, but it's not a huge thing. And he needed to get some exercise, but I will be trying to do some whip and chats once it starts cooling off. So the diamond painting related content will always be here. It's always going to be here in one form or fashion as long as I'm doing the craft. But you're going to see a lot more stuff mixed in, more outdoor stuff, more vlogs, a lot more skincare stuff, and anything else that pops into my mind. We've done it all before. We've done cooking, we've done lots of vlog style errand stuff, so it's not going to be anything necessarily different. But yeah, I got rid of the a diamond painting channel. I think it's still on some of my title cards, so I need to remake those title cards. It says single and placing a diamond painting channel on them, but I haven't had time to redo those quite yet. So that'll be coming in future videos. You might see those change. It'll probably just say single and placing on those now. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, let me know your thoughts if all of this sounds on the up and up. I know most people are like, we don't care, just keep talking. So that's actually good. What do you have? Oh, a pine cone. That's actually good. I hope that that's the draw, is the company and the chit chat. But yeah, I know I do struggle with, and I know other people have struggled with, like, feeling like they need to stick to that specific topic, you know, because I don't want it to be a bait and switch where it's like, oh, it's a diamond painting channel. We spent the first year focusing on diamond painting, and now I'm like, and now this, and now this, and now less diamond painting, and now more of this and less of this. So I hope people are still feeling engaged. But yeah, I think that's it. You want to head back to the car? Come on, let's go. Let's go. So yeah, that's all we have. No, we're still walking. We did 3.49 miles. We chatted for about an hour and a half, not too shabby. So yeah, I'm gonna post this this next Wednesday. So a week from tomorrow at the time of filming this. And I'm certain there'll be other content going up, but it might be quiet after this video for the rest of the month while I just focus on being outdoors, trying to get some hiking done, maybe do some diamond painting, and then you might get a flood of content because I'll probably be filming stuff. I don't know, that's the soft plan. But anyway, yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this little stroll, and yeah, let me know your thoughts on everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with friends, family members, anyone that you think might take some value out of it. Otherwise, happy placing. We'll see you next time. Come here. Oh, we'll see you next time. We'll see you next time, big boy. Ooh, kisses. Oh my goodness. Not the butt today. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone.